Is the Catholic Church nearing a breaking point? The question looms large as the institution faces unprecedented challenges from within and without. Whispers of dissent echo through the hallowed halls of the Vatican. These whispers are not just idle chatter. They are the murmurs of a deep-seated unrest that has been brewing for years. At the heart of the storm stands Pope Francis, a beacon of change, yet a lightning rod for controversy. His papacy has been marked by a series of bold moves aimed at modernizing the Church and making it more inclusive. His bold vision for a more inclusive, compassionate Church has ignited fervent opposition, particularly from within the ranks of the Cardinals. These men, who have dedicated their lives to the Church, now find themselves at a crossroads. The winds of change are blowing, but will they shatter the very foundations of the Church? The tension is palpable, and the stakes are incredibly high. This is not a time for the faint of heart. The faithful are watching closely, their hopes and fears intertwined with the fate of the Church. The stakes are incredibly high. Every decision made now will reverberate through the ages, affecting not just the present congregation, but future generations as well. The future of the Catholic Church, an institution that has weathered centuries of turmoil, hangs in the balance. Its history is rich with moments of crisis and renewal, but never has the path forward seemed so uncertain. On one side, traditionalists cling fiercely to the doctrines of the past, viewing any deviation as a dangerous heresy. They argue that the Church's strength lies in its unwavering adherence to established beliefs. On the other, reformers, emboldened by Pope Francis's calls for mercy and openness, push for a Church more aligned with the realities of the 21st century. They envision a future where the Church is a sanctuary for all, regardless of background or circumstance. The battle lines are drawn and the outcome is far from certain. In the hushed confines of a private chamber, a pivotal encounter is about to unfold. Pope Francis, a figure of quiet strength and unwavering conviction, prepares to face one of his most formidable challenges. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the charismatic Archbishop of Manila. The two men share a deep bond of faith, yet their visions for the future of the Church diverge sharply. The weight of the world seems to settle upon their shoulders as they begin their dialogue. The air crackles with unspoken tension. Pope Francis, ever the pastor, exudes an aura of gentle but resolute authority. Cardinal Tagle, known for his intellectual prowess and compassionate heart, carries himself with a mixture of deference and steely determination. The debate begins delicately, respectfully, yet the chasm between their viewpoints is undeniable. On one side, there is a call for compassion and understanding, while on the other, a steadfast commitment to tradition and doctrine. Pope Francis, a staunch advocate for the poor and marginalized, reiterates his call for a more merciful approach to issues like divorce and remarriage. He emphasizes the need for the Church to evolve and adapt to the changing realities of modern life. He speaks of a field hospital church, one that welcomes the wounded and offers healing rather than judgment. His vision is one of inclusivity, where the Church acts as a sanctuary for all, regardless of their past. Cardinal Tagle, while deeply sympathetic to the plight of the divorced and remarried, expresses concern that altering Church doctrine could undermine the sanctity of marriage. He worries that making exceptions could lead to a slippery slope, eroding the very foundations of the Church's teachings. He argues that the Church must uphold its teachings even when they are unpopular or difficult to follow. For him, the integrity of the Church's message is paramount, and any deviation could have far-reaching consequences. The debate intensifies, voices rising, yet both men remain acutely aware of the gravity of the situation. They understand that their words and decisions will shape the future of the Church and its followers. This is not a battle for personal supremacy, but a struggle for the soul of the Church. It is a profound and complex dialogue, one that seeks to balance compassion with doctrine and tradition with modernity. The specter of tradition looms large over the debate. Cardinal Tagle, a scholar of church history, eloquently articulates the importance of upholding the Church's timeless teachings. He speaks of the unbroken chain of apostolic succession, of the sacred deposit of faith, passed down through generations. He argues that to abandon these teachings would be to sever the Church from its very roots. Pope Francis, ever the reformer, acknowledges the importance of tradition, yet he challenges a rigid interpretation of it. He reminds Cardinal Tagle that the Church has always adapted to the changing times, citing examples like the Second Vatican Council. The cry for change. In the heart of the Vatican, a profound discussion unfolds, one that could shape the future of the Catholic Church for generations to come. The debate takes an unexpected turn as Cardinal Tagle, in a voice filled with emotion, reveals the depth of his concern for the future of the Church. His voice trembles as he speaks, each word carrying the weight of his deep-seated fears and hopes. He speaks of the growing disconnect between the Church's teachings and the lived experiences of ordinary Catholics. The faces in the congregation reflect a shared anxiety, a collective yearning for a Church that understands and embraces their struggles. He shares stories of faithful Catholics who feel alienated by the Church's stance on issues like contraception and same-sex relationships. These stories are not just anecdotes, they are cries for help from those who feel left behind by an institution they once held dear. Cardinal Tagle's words hang heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the human cost of inaction. His plea is not just for change, but for a compassionate understanding that bridges the gap between doctrine and daily life. He argues that the Church risks losing its relevance if it remains entrenched in outdated doctrines. The empty pews serve as a silent testament to the growing disillusionment among the faithful. He pleads with the Pope to consider the needs of the faithful, to offer a message of hope and inclusion that resonates with the realities of the 21st century. Cardinal Tagle envisions a Church that is not just a beacon of faith, but a sanctuary of understanding and love, where every individual feels seen, heard, and valued. Ultimatum. The tension in the room reaches a fever pitch. Cardinal Tagle, in a moment of unprecedented boldness, issues an ultimatum that reverberates through the Vatican and beyond. He warns Pope Francis that failure to address the pressing issues facing the Church, particularly the growing chasm between doctrine and the lived realities of the faithful, could lead to a mass exodus. This is not a threat, he insists, but a heartfelt plea from a shepherd who fears for his flock. He reminds the Pope that the Church's authority rests not on power or prestige, but on the trust and devotion of its people. Lose that trust, he warns, and the Church risks losing everything. A Church in the balance. The weight of Cardinal Tagle's words hangs heavy in the air. Pope Francis, visibly moved by the Cardinal's impassioned plea, remains silent for a long moment. The fate of the Catholic Church, a global institution with over 1.3 billion members, hangs in the balance. The debate has laid bare the profound divisions within the Church, a microcosm of the larger societal struggles between tradition and modernity, faith and reason, dogma and compassion. The eyes of the world are now fixed on Rome, waiting with bated breath for the Pope's response. The legacy of the debate. The debate between Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle is not merely a private disagreement between two men of faith. It is a pivotal moment in the history of the Catholic Church, a crucible from which a new era may emerge. The outcome of this clash of visions will have profound implications for generations to come. Will the Church cling to the familiar shores of tradition, or will it embark on a bold new course, charted by the winds of change? A future yet unwritten. The debate concludes not with a resounding resolution, but with a lingering sense of anticipation. Pope Francis, his face etched with the weight of responsibility, thanks Cardinal Tagle for his candor and promises to prayerfully consider his words. The future of the Catholic Church remains unwritten, a tapestry woven from the threads of tradition, the yearnings for reform, and the enduring power of faith. Only time will tell what course the Church will chart. But one thing is certain, the world is watching and praying for a church that reflects the love and compassion of its founder, Jesus Christ. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more updates and intriguing content.